So I want to tell you one more story before this session is over. And it comes back to that idea of being a bridge between the worlds. This story also comes from Eastern Europe. It was told to me by a storyteller, Noah Baum. Noah Baum is an Israeli who does a wonderful performance piece that's called A Land Twice Promised. And it's about the conflict in Israel and Palestine. If you get a chance to see it, I heartily recommend it. Well, Noah Baum told me this story. And it takes place about 250 years ago. And in this story, there's an old woman, a poor beggar woman, a woman who lives not in a house, but in a hovel, a shack made out of pressed wood, old scraps nailed together. And she's got this old wooden stove. It's made out of rusted iron. In fact, it's got a rust spot on it that looks just like the moon. And her bed is straw, paper. She's got one set of clothes, one coat. And one night, she's sleeping on her bed, huddled around this wood stove, and a dream comes to her. And in the dream, she journeys to the borderland, to the border with another country. And she discovers a chest. And she opens the chest, and there's gold in it. And her eyes light up, and she reaches her hands in, and she pulls up the coins, and she thinks, I could buy a house with this. And then she wakes up. And she thinks to herself, it's a dream. The next night, she goes to sleep. Same dream. She sees the borderland. She sees people with carts and wagons carrying their goods across the boundaries. She sees the military patrolling with their guns, their weapons. And she sees the box. And she goes over to it, and she opens it up, and it's filled with gold again. And she reaches in her hands, and the gold coins drop, and she says, I could do more than buy a house with this. This isn't enough gold. I could give it away. And then she wakes up. And she thinks to herself, interesting, 2 nights. Third night, she goes to sleep, same dream. There she is at the boundary land. There's the guards, there's the caravans, there's the box, except this time the box is locked. She walks over to it, and the guard comes up, and he hands her the key. She takes the key, she opens the box, there's the gold. And she's pulling it up, and she's watching the gold glint in the sun, and she wakes up. And she thinks to herself, 2 nights, maybe a coincidence. 3 nights, I'm going to the borderlands. She gets her coat, she heads out. She doesn't have to pack, she doesn't have anything to pack. She walks for 2 days without sleeping through the night until finally she gets to the boundary where her country borders on the next. And it's just like the dream. She sees the carts and the caravans with goods going back and forth. She sees the soldiers with their weapons. But she doesn't see the box. She looks around. And one of the guards thinks she's suspicious, an old beggar woman in rags poking around. And he walks up to her. What are you doing here? She's got nothing to lose. She tells him the truth. I had a dream. I dreamt there was a box of gold here. A dream? Ha! You follow your dreams. What would the world be like if we all followed our dreams? I'd leave my post. I have dreams. Why, just the other night I dreamed about a big basket of gold. It was a couple of days' travel from here in some old hovel underneath a stove with a big rust spot the size of the moon on it. She thinks, the key. That's the key. She goes back. For 2 days, she travels. She gets back to her hovel. There's her wood stove. She pulls it away from the wall. She lifts up the floorboards, and she digs. And sure enough, there's the gold. Sometimes we have to go far from our home to realize that the gold is in our home. So you traveled far. You came to this conference. Now it's time for you to go back. Now it's time for you to go back to your organization. Pull the stove away from the wall. Pick up the floorboards and find the gold that's there.